Good morning, good afternoon, depending on wherever you are in the world. Today I've decided to do a video on just some facts, if you like, of the case of the missing little 5-year-old boy, Michael Joseph Vaughan, who was last seen near his home on Southwest 9th Street in Fruitland, Idaho. He is 5 years old, 3'6" or 7", blonde hair and blue eyes, and responds to the nickname Monkey, which is a name his mother Brandy uses, and his father Tyler, and the rest of the family. We are now 230 days since little 5-year-old Michael Vaughan disappeared. I'm going to read some facts out that I think are important. There's been a lot of, as is ever the case, speculation, which isn't always a bad thing. We all speculate, but we also need to try and do as much research and facts as we can, and try, if possible, while still having empathy, to put our heightened emotions, say, or theories, assumptions, or whatever, to one side. Facts are so important, and so is research, and it's not easy in these cases of these missing children, as we know, because obviously the police and the FBI will only release so much to us all, and people can do digging, and some people can purport to be people to get close to families of missing children to get information. But for me, I just want to put some facts out there, because I know and I've seen there are quite a lot of people who haven't seen this case of little Michael Vaughan since he's been missing. Excuse me. As I say, it's been 230 days since he went missing. And I have taken some information briefly from the Idaho News, dated the 10th of March. It says, it's been a long 226 days, as it was then, for a Fruitland family that continues to hope for the safe return of 5-year-old Michael Vaughan. The Idaho News is in contact with Fruitland Police on a weekly basis on this case. The police chief tells us officers continue to work through leads, though these leads have slowed a bit. They have received 845 leads since Michael disappeared on July the 27th, 2021. Meanwhile, investigators continue to gather new data and closely examine it. Police tell IdahoNews.com the FBI has been involved in the case, even working out of the Fruitland Police Department. They also say the Vaughan family remains very cooperative. Investigators still don't know the cause of his disappearance, albeit you will see in one of the clips I add to this, they have actually stated the word abduction now. So, when Michael disappeared, as I say, he was 3'6" / 7" tall, weighed about 50 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. He had apparently left his home through a garage entrance or a back entrance of his home. His father was at home looking after his siblings as well as him, and he was seen going to, I believe, 3 neighbours' houses where they live is not a big area. He was a very lively, or is a very lively young man, and liked to be active at all times. His mother has said this. And apparently one of the neighbours walked him partly back to his home. He was only gone 15 minutes. I'm not going to make any comments about anything because, as I say, I like facts. But what I have seen is his mother's daily stress and contact with the authorities, with everybody, to try and find out what's happened to their sweet little boy. He needs to be found. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some links in my video here that I used in my one I did, a very short one I did about a month ago on my channel, which links to the various news channels, the police, and Fruitlands town itself, with some information on, how to make flyers and all sorts of things like that for you to look at, because that can be quite helpful. Obviously, I'm in the UK, but I wanted to highlight this case because it needs it. So much time's gone by for this little boy, and he needs to be found. Bless his heart, he needs to be brought home, safe, to his family. So please take some of my research, or it's only a small amount, but look into it and try and research before knee-jerk reactions. I'm not being nasty when I say that, but facts and research are so important where possible. And as we know, as I've said, I know before, the police will not be telling us everything they know. They won't be releasing that to social media because it may ruin the case that they are trying to solve or look into. So please bear that in mind. It's so important. Facts, research is everything in these true crime cases to avoid it becoming, as we know, quotes, crama, quotes, something we need to try to stop. I believe it's got out of hand, in my opinion. So going back to little Michael Vaughan, please look into this as much as you can. There are many good channels doing really good research on this case, and one of whom I particularly like is Michelle After Dark. She's very good, and take a look at her work. She's very, very thorough, and I respect her work enormously, but that's just my opinion. There are others, too many to mention, but take a look and just gather your facts before we all type something that may be wrong. Let's hope we find him. Take care. Thank you. Carrie Pink. I just want to add one more thing, or one more piece of information regarding the time frame, as much as we know since I started this video upload. Michael Vaughan was seen around 6:30 p.m. He was seen in their small street by 3 different neighbours who all talked to him individually. They all live in a very quiet street, apparently, and Michael was trying to head east towards a splash pad, which was a place he'd often played at before. Michael was known to be adventurous and very sociable, always wanting to play. And at this time, I think, as I said, one of the neighbours tried to half-walked Michael back towards his home. Again, we're talking about a very small street. The father, as I've said again before, Tyler was distracted for about 15 to 20 minutes during this time. So 6:30, Michael has been seen talking to 3 different neighbours. Tyler is distracted, which sadly, or whatever, normally even in hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Was doing whatever he's doing, got other children, noticed that Michael wasn't there, immediately went out towards the splash pad, because he knew that somewhere that Michael might head, and Tyler was actually seen on the surveillance, and that's been verified, going towards their area. Tyler called Brandy, his partner, and she started to head home as quickly as possible. He obviously called the police as quickly as possible. The police station is literally 2 or 3 minutes away from where they live, and so they were there really quickly. I think Brandy, the mum, was back around 7:20 p.m. The endangered child alert was done at approximately 8:20. So, just as a thought out there for people who want to make this thought, how in that time, bearing in mind within, say, 40 minutes, approximately, including the time that the neighbours were seen talking to Michael, could Tyler have possibly done anything to little Michael and hidden everything that had potentially, allegedly been done? It just doesn't seem logically possible. So that's the time frame is been verified, so that's fact. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in 1 or 2 links, Michelle walks or after dark, in my description, and another one for you to look at, and they're pretty good. So I would advise, if you want to sort of do a bit of investigation, to click on those links and have a look at what they have to say, and also how they discuss how rumours can spread and what can happen. But what I've tried to do here in a roundabout and as best way I can is to let you know what has happened in the time frame. I think it's important just to put that at the end. I've been doing a little bit more research since I started this video. As I say, check all the links in the description of this video. And again, let's hope that we find Michael Monkey Vaughan. He needs to be found. Take care. Gary Pink.
Begin tonight in Fruitland, and a mother's emotional plea asking for her missing son's return home. The search for Michael Vaughan, the 5-year-old boy out of Fruitland, continues this week, 115 weeks after he disappeared.
There's a new reward for information leading to Michael's safe return, with a deadline of March 31st of next year. Fruitland police say they will not give up on the search until Michael is found. Our Tristan Lewis has been following this story since it broke. Tristan, tonight, Michael's family, they broke their silence really for the first time. So what are they saying? What is their plea?
So, Mark and Kim, high emotions at the Fruitland Police Station today, and understandably so, as Michael's mother, Brandy Neal, asks everyone to continue searching for Michael. It has now been close to 4 months, and officers say they've received several credible tips that just don't go anywhere. But hope that Michael will be found continues on.
It's now 115 days since Michael Vaughan was reported missing. 115 days of continuous search efforts. 115 days of community members sharing Michael's face and name. For Michael's family, it's been 115 days of unrest, just waiting to be reunited with their 5-year-old boy.
115 days. 115 days. He has not been home.
For one of the first times since Michael's disappearance on July 27th, his mother, Brandy Neal, is speaking out. She's pleading for everyone to continue to share Michael's story in the hopes any information leading up to his whereabouts may turn up.
And we need every one of you. I need you. I need your help to bring my baby home.
Neil describes Michael as a sweet and exciting boy who brings joy and love to not just their family, but everyone he interacts with.
We miss his laughs, his smiles. We miss his hugs. Michael has a laugh that is beyond contagious. You can't help but smile and laugh when you hear his laugh.
While looking at pictures of him that are used on missing persons posters, she can recount stories of the joy and laughter he brought.
That smile was one of our most favorite camping trips.
Without it, she says their family is broken.
I need you to know how much Michael is loved. I need you to know how much he is missed.
Neil feels that support people have given her and her family throughout the past 4 months.
I want to thank all of the community and the extended communities and everyone who continues to keep Michael in your thoughts, in your prayers, and in your eyes.
She feels especially grateful to the law enforcement agencies that have been working non-stop since July to locate her missing son.
They have become family, and they are his son too. So please, please, please help me. Please help me bring my baby home.
Chief J.D. Huff with the Fruitland Police Department says Michael's family continues to be fully cooperative with law enforcement. He mentions that they work with them on a daily basis. Huff also says because they've done so many searches and haven't found anything, the chances Michael was abducted are higher. But Mark and Kim, nothing has been ruled out.
Well, this is the first really publicly that they've even used the word abducted. So they're leaning toward that, or no? I mean, what was the feeling there at the press conference? Or that he just wandered off and somehow hasn't been found?
There's just still a lot of search efforts being made. I spoke with J.D. Huff today at that press conference, and they said they're really focusing their search efforts on that 1 to 2 mile radius where he was last seen. But just as the winter months start approaching, that search is intensifying. So, like I said, nothing has been ruled out.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking.
And they're not going to give up the search for sure. Yeah. All right, Tristan, thank you.
We continue to follow a missing case tonight. A 5-year-old from Idaho. His name is Michael Vaughn. He disappeared after walking out of his family's home in Idaho almost 5 months ago and has not been seen since. Police have said that it is increasingly possible that Michael was abducted, yet his disappearance at the time did not trigger an Amber Alert. I have a lot of questions about this case. I know you do as well. I'm going to bring in Jennifer Coffendorfer now. She's a former FBI agent. She's been closely following this case for the past couple of months. I'm going to spend a couple minutes with Jennifer asking my questions, and for you at home, all of you on social media who have been wanting to know about Michael's disappearance, you've got questions on your mind, you can send those questions to Twitter using the hashtag NewsNationPrime. And then after the next commercial break, we'll have your questions for Jennifer as well. Jennifer, as always, thank you. This case came to our attention in a fearful way. We saw this little boy's face, Monkey as his mom calls him, just vanished into thin air. I want to begin with what the mom said a moment ago in the piece. She said, "I believe somebody may have been watching our family when my son disappeared. There was a white car in the area that police are looking into. There was a man in that drainage tunnel that was unfamiliar. And also you heard police say there's an increasing possibility that Michael was abducted. As an investigator with your years of experience, what stands out to you about this little boy and him vanishing?"
Well, you perfectly laid out, Marnie, all the facts that I would have said. This little boy is 5 years old. He's not a runaway. He's not visiting a girlfriend. This little boy is gone and missing, last seen literally going door to door in his neighborhood, very vulnerable for being abducted. There was an unfamiliar car in the area, an unfamiliar man in the area, And there is no reason to suspect he is anything other than abducted.
Okay, so Jennifer, this is my question, but I have been following everybody on social media asking the very same thing about an Amber Alert. People want to know, why was an Amber Alert not issued? The Idaho State Police did send us some clarification on this case early on. They said with the information that was available in this case, we made the same notification as an Amber Alert. It's called EMPA. It's an emergency missing persons alert. But they said the state of Idaho follows national best and proven practices on endangered missing persons alert. So help us understand the decision by Idaho State Police or police in any matter when a child goes missing.
Well, essentially, the Amber Alert being the gold standard for being able to find missing and abducted and endangered children is kept very close to the vest in terms of being able to issue one. They are used very sparingly. About 7 out of 10 cases in terms of those that have been issued an alert are actually recovered. And 17% of the 7 out of 10 are actually directly attributable to that alert. So they don't want to desensitize that alert. It sticks out to anyone in law enforcement who is a part of receiving this alert because they know it means there's an endangered child. For all of the citizenry, when we receive that alert on our phone, we immediately take note of what the details are and we're on the lookout. It truly is the way to find missing children. So sadly, in this case, because they didn't have enough information to say at that particular time that he was abducted, they instead went with an endangered missing person. Now, an endangered missing person in Idaho, the list has over 40 from ages 100, mostly middle-aged people who are missing. That does not rise to the level of this situation in terms of what we're looking at here in terms of the probability of abduction.
It just doesn't have the same urgency, right? You see an Amber Alert come across your phone, you immediately look at all the identifying factors. It doesn't have the same effect 5 months later either. Not being critical of the investigation, but from the parent standpoint, you want everything you can, right? You want all hands on deck. Jennifer, something else that Markey passed along to us, she did search registered sex offenders in Michael's neighborhood. The state database reveals 6 within a mile radius of his home. Would police automatically search those homes and question those individuals as part of their initial investigation?
Yes, I would have expected that to be the first thing done. There was one just doors down from him, really, blocks away. So that should have been immediately looked into. And I would suspect it has been looked into if it was done properly, which I have no reason to think that the Fruitland Police Department did not do a proper investigation.
And they still say this case is a priority. The search continues for Michael. Jennifer, stick around. We've got questions from our viewers coming up about this case and Michael's disappearance. And if you'd like to submit a question now, you can do so. Tweet us by using the hashtag NewsNationPrime. We continue to follow the disappearance of 5-year-old Michael Vaughn in Fruitland, Idaho. Next here on NewsNation Prime. It has been almost 5 months since a 5-year-old boy from Idaho, Michael Vaughn, disappeared from his family's home, walked out the front door, walked down the street. He has not been seen since. His mom and family are desperate for answers tonight, and we need the public's help as well. Jennifer Koffendorfer joining us once again with some of your questions tonight on this little boy's disappearance and the search for him now in Idaho and elsewhere. Jennifer, we have a couple of questions from Twitter tonight, and the first, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are swarming around this question about Amber Alerts. This person asked, can we expect an Amber Alert from the Idaho State Police? What are the chances now that we know the circumstances?
Well, the Idaho State Police have known the circumstances, and even though they seem to be evolving toward classifying this as an abduction, I would say this is a bureaucratic decision that's being made by somebody who's never been boots on the ground and never been involved in an investigation like this. And I hope that this is pushed up their chain, hopefully to their director, who has experience in these cases and who might overturn this bureaucratic decision. There is absolutely no downside. There is nothing that will be desensitized. And in fact, it actually is the exact reason why an Amber Alert was created, this sort of case.
See if that process evolves. Jennifer, we have about 30 seconds to answer this last question, and it is about the public's impact in these cases. They ask, what can we effectively do right now as a community to bring Michael Vaughn home? How can we help?
Well, of course, flooding social media with the circumstances and with photos of Michael Vaughn. In addition, reaching out to the Idaho State Police and imploring them to issue this alert. This is subjective. There are suggestions that are made in regard to when these alerts are issued. This is not a dogmatic precedent, and it's important for Michael Vaughn to receive an Amber so he can be found.
Jennifer Coffendorfer, as always, thank you, and thank you at home for your passion and your questions tonight. I want to put Michael's photo back on the screen for you tonight. If you have any information that can help in this case, there is now a $50,000 reward for anything that leads to Michael Vaughn's safe return. This little boy is 5 years old. He hasn't been seen since this summer. His mom on tonight, desperate for answers. She believes her little boy is alive. They call him Monkey because he is full of energy from the time he wakes up in the morning until the time he goes to sleep. Please help us to bring him home tonight. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more.